All right, so here I have Oakley, and he is a little bit more of an advanced horse. He has been with me kind of on and off in training for about a year. He is a coming 4-year-old quarter horse. I have him outfitted in just a smooth snaffle with draw reins. I don't use draw reins too much. When a horse gets to a more advanced level, when I can do pretty much whatever I want with them, and regular reins in a smooth snaffle, then I might add the draw reins just for an added added support for teaching them where they're supposed to be all the time. So I'm not going to put draw reins on a horse until I can get them to flex laterally and vertically and really accept the bit and be soft with the bit in regular reins. So I have these around his legs hooked to the outside of my girth, so that way I have some lateral capabilities as well as being able to bring him in vertically. So the draw reins are just going to help teach him to move up into the bridle. So some of the problems I'm having with him, which we'll see today, is in our upward transitions especially, he'll kind of lift his head a little bit and he'll open his mouth a little bit. So I'm just teaching him to move forward into the bridle, and this just helps me not have to work so hard. But I don't recommend using draw reins all of the time because you've got to have the foundation there, and just use your draw reins maybe for a tune-up. So as I'm walking and jogging around, we're going to work on lots of body control stuff. So I always think of my horses split in 3 parts. I've got the head and the neck, the shoulder, front leg, and the hind leg. So if I want to push the shoulder out, do a shoulder yield, I just keep his head on the track and I can push his shoulders out, or I can do a shoulder in. He's not quite warmed up yet, so he's a little bit stiff. Bring him out. Or if I want to bring his head one direction, I can bring his head there but keep his feet going the same direction. So all the parts kind of work together, but I want to be able to have independent control of all 3 of these parts. Now the hardest one to get is going to be the hip. So this is what I've been working on with him. And you'll see I'm going to put my outside leg on him to push that hip over, and he might try and canter. No, he didn't. He swung his butt around. So that's good. And then I'll push his hips to the outside. Good. And I'll bring it back over. And he's being a little bit fussy, so I'm just going to keep working on this until I have a horse that's completely willing and submitted to however I want to push their body around. 2 tracking, side passing, all of those are really good body control exercises that I like to do. Now, the hip control thing, I can take him around and do like a full trot circle, pushing his hip around without getting too much leakage from the front end. So what I mean by that is he wasn't dropping his shoulders and he stayed underneath me pretty well. Good. So now I'm going to very gently move him up into the lope, but before I ask him to lope, I want to make sure that I've still got that body control. Now to set him up the best way that I can, I'm going to keep the hip to the inside and also the nose kind of curled to the inside, but keep the shoulders up. Okay, so this is a pretty advanced thing. I will tell you, it's a good leg workout too. What my body is doing, I've got my outside leg back to push his hip over. I've got my inside leg forward right behind the cinch to hold the shoulders up. And then my hands aren't going to do a whole lot other than keep his head in front of him so I can still see the inside of my bridle here. So once I feel like I've got a good trot and I've got his body where I want it, I'm going to now ask him to step up into the lope. Little smooch. And you see a little bit of head fling there. He's like, ooh, that's hard. Good. And I'm just kind of, I'm not doing a consistent pressure on him with my legs, but I'm talking to his hip. I'm not letting him go too long without me telling him where his body's supposed to be. I'm just kind of giving him that little support. Now this horse is pretty natural, so I can let him just kind of lope on his own and it will look pretty good. But I'm making him work a little bit harder because a problem that we have with him is getting nervous, kind of getting chompy at the bit, especially at horse shows. So I want to make sure that I can put this horse however I want to without affecting his natural movement. So if I let him go, I'll still have that natural movement. But I don't want any artificial stride, which this is obviously slower than what is natural for him, but he's still got decent swing through his shoulder, and I'm just holding that hip underneath him. And you can see how the draw reins are helping me. I'm not really moving my hands. With the draw reins, I don't have to do much. I just set those boundaries and he's got to figure it out. He's just training himself. Good, and I'm feeling more softness up front, more consistency. So down this rail, I'm gonna see how he'll carry himself. Oh, had a little resistance there. There, so I let him go, but now let's see how he responds when I take hold of him again. But I don't know if you guys can see that very well in the video, but I can certainly feel it when I go to take a hold of him. He's like, no, I don't want to. And so I don't get mad. I just kind of say, yes, you do. See there, he caught himself and he got a little nervous. Good. And we'll just repeat that a bunch of times just so he learns his boundaries and we'll stay consistent and relaxed.